In the interim, I have agreed with all three mobile network operators to have unique data bundle packages for all of their subscribers, which is all Ghanaians, on 5 national holidays: Independence Day, May Day, Republic Day, Founders Day, and Farmers Day. The Independence Day test run was a resounding success, and I look forward to working with the NTA and the MNO on May Day for our next holiday offering and celebration of the workers of Ghana. We identified a number, saw the Ghana, did a cross-referencing with the number, the Ghana card that was used to register the card, geolocated the person, security did an operation, but it became immediately clear that the individual whose Ghana card, who we had picked up on the back of his Ghana card, was not the same person as the person who was using the same card. And that's simply because you have unscrupulous people who registered pre-registered SIM cards using people's Ghana cards. You go and you try to register, and then they tell you, oh, the network is down. It didn't go through, but they had registered a SIM card. And then they take your card again and do another registration. And then they begin to sell those pre-registered SIM cards. And so you will be an innocent person sitting down, and because your Ghana card had been used to pre-register a SIM card that was used in fraud, you'll be picked up. So people may think that, oh, but we went through the hassle. Yes, and I appreciate it. I was Christian Stubborn Academy because I opposed the registration process, because we questioned the technical basis of doing what was being done. And that's why I make a solemn pledge to you that you will not have to queue. You will not have to go and leave work for a day or two to get your SIM registered. There's a whole simple technical process behind it. It will be interactive. It will engage you. The regulator has seen the demo of it and how it works. We're very clear in our minds what we're going to do. Because if you've submitted your biometrics to the NIA, and the NIA has captured your biometrics, it's a simple opportunity for us to match what MTN or Telecel or AT holds against a certain number and cross-reference and send you a prompt to confirm if that number was really registered by you. So if someone has registered with your Ghana card without your knowledge, and that number is brought to your attention, and you indicate that that is not your number, we blacklist it. If it is your number and the biometrics match, we whitelist your number and you get a prompt letting you know that your identity has been verified. But we will go a step further to now do what we call the Central Equipment Identity Register. Now that is a registration not of your SIM, but of your phones. Every phone has an IMEI number, which is global and is a unique identifier, it's a fingerprint of your phone. And so we're also going to be sending you prompts to do the registration of your phone. Now, there are two reasons why we do this. One is because of national security, to be able to identify the phone and match a phone to a SIM card and know who it is that's using what SIM card in what phone. But secondly, is also because statistics is showing that almost 60% of phones in the country are smuggled, and no taxes have been paid on them. And so when this register is done, it's easy for you to determine whether the phone that's being sold to you came in legitimately and whether the tax has been paid on it. If the tax has not been paid on it, you can demand of the vendor to pay the tax, because a time will come where if the tax has not been paid, the use of the phone will be impossible. And so there are compliance measures. But you see, the good thing about that is it also helps us to create an opportunity to improve financial inclusion. Because now the access to credit using fintech becomes secured, because fintech operators who are giving loans on phone, who don't get to see you, know that in the case of a default, it's possible to reset your use of your phone. I was careful to see when I said it is possible to quickly add a reset. So we will do that, and the shortfalls Yeah, and stolen phones, for example. If your phone were to be stolen and you were to report, we'll be able to identify if your phone and your number match your Ghana card, which we use to verify and register you, and immediately triangulate and geolocate the phone and disable that phone. So then the ecosystem for stolen phones is gone. Because if you steal somebody's phone and a report is made, you can't sell the phone because nobody can use the phone. It's blocked and locked. And we're not just doing this here. Once we're done here, we're going to marry our central equipment identity register with our neighbors in the sub-region. So you can't even steal from here and take it to Nigeria. Or you can't steal from Togo and bring to Ghana. Because once it is flagged in any country in the sub-region, we will block it completely. So we're putting a few people out of business. But that the Acting Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority, Yaira Poku, announced earlier this week that in Greater Accra, they were doing a redistribution of Ghana cards. So if you had registered and you didn't have cards, there was the possibility for you to pick up your card. Now, one of the key things that we could actually do from here to help the Ghana card, the NIA, will be to get a database of cards that have been printed that have not been distributed, and build and query the database for those cards to generate the phone numbers of the individuals whose cards, because there are phone numbers assigned to every, that we used to do during the registration of the Ghana card, you provided phone numbers. So with a query of the database, we can get those phone numbers, and at the Communication Ministry, I'm sure we can be able to work closely with NIA. Once we get those phone numbers, to work with MNOs to send text messages, identify their current locations, because some people may have moved, and then we can then use our GIFEX CICs as distribution centers, where those are closer than regional offices of the NIA, where people can go and pick up their Ghana card. So the solutions exist for us, but the vision and the dream is to make sure that every Ghanaian gets a Ghana card so that they will be able to register. Again, on the same registration thing, there are also instances where one person, the father's Ghana card, was used to register for the wife and all the children and nannies and everybody in the house. I'm sure we'll look at the dispensation and see how well we can decouple at this point in time, now that people have gotten their Ghana cards, so that each individual can have their Ghana card linked to their name. You don't want to be a father and you are sitting there and you get picked up because your son has gone to misbehave. And when they check the Ghana card, it was your name on it. So we'll look at that. Nana Poku from Daily Searchlight, internet fraud, money doubling, worrying. The John Dramani Mahama government got sworn into office, and 61 days since I took the oath of Minister of State and assumed my role as Minister responsible for communication, digital technology and innovation. It seems like a year has already swung by. I have turned into action seeking to fulfill His Excellency's mandate and the charge the Ghanaian people have entrusted into our care. As part of my approach to transparent and accountable governance, this is the first of what will be quarterly updates from my ministry on our stewardship and the actions taken towards achieving the reset agenda of His Excellency. In the first quarter of 2025, the Ministry of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation laid a solid foundation for a digitally resilient Ghana that delivers real value and opportunity for every Ghanaian. The technology sector is a central pillar of Ghana's economic reset and is critical to positioning Ghana at the top of the digital and competitive global economy. Recognizing this, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama made a pre-election promise to launch the 1 Million Coders program, a bold initiative to train 1 million young Ghanaians in digital skills, empowering them to thrive in the rapidly growing business process outsourcing and knowledge process outsourcing sectors. As a ministry, we have quickly moved to turn this vision. The ministry has launched intensive efforts to mobilize partners and secure the resources needed to implement the program and deliver results at scale. Through standing was signed with the MTN Group in Barcelona a few weeks ago, with several other agreements with other private Ghanaian and international partners currently being finalized to support implementation. The ministry will launch the program with a pilot covering Greater Accra, Ashanti, Bono, and the Upper East regions exactly a week from today on April 16th, with over 250 people from Accra, Bolga, Sunyani, and Kumasi expected to participate in the launch. The program is inclusive by design with an integrated 50-50 gender split. Further, we would leverage our district assemblies and community information centers in the subsequent implementation phases to ensure that the program reaches every corner of Ghana, not just urban centers. And at this juncture, I want you to know that the website is active for all citizens who intend to take part in the pilot to go online and register. The URL is www.1millioncoders.gov.gh. I repeat, www.1millioncoders.gov.gh. At the core of digital inclusion is affordable internet access. And it is pursuant to this that the President promised to partner with private sector players to make internet access more affordable for low-income households through targeted subsidies, discounted data packages, and device financing schemes. In February, I established a multi-stakeholder data cost pricing committee comprising telecom service providers, consumer groups, and the regulator. The committee was given a 14-day mandate to deliver a roadmap for implementation to achieve more cost-effective data prices. The committee delivered its report in 13 days. I'm grateful to all the stakeholders who worked assiduously and at no cost to the state, I repeat, at no cost to the state, to produce a short, medium, and long-term approach to data price rationalization in our country. Again, I say ayiko to them for their selfless service to our country. I have studied the roadmap document that they produced and referred it to the regulator, the NCA. The authority under the able leadership of the Acting Director General has held several engagements with mobile network operators to discuss and fashion out implementation plans and modalities. I have personally engaged with the CEOs of the 3 MNOs, and I am pleased to announce that all 3 have presented the ministry and the regulator with specific improved data bundles for tertiary students across our country, as well as for content creation and gig economy demographics. In the coming days, the NCA will finalize the implementation and technical requirements with the relevant stakeholders for a public rollout of the specific data bundles. In the interim, I have agreed with all 3 mobile network operators to have unique data bundle packages for all of their subscribers, which is all Ghanaians, on 5 national holidays: Independence Day, May Day, Republic Day, Founders Day, and Farmers Day. The Independence Day test run was a resounding success, and I look forward to working with the NCA and the MNO on May Day for our next holiday offering and celebration of the workers of Ghana. I have also noted several complaints about the quality of service of almost all the network providers in the country. This past week, I have taken decisive policy decision to approve technology neutrality and additional spectrum for MTN Ghana. I've also directed the NCA to make an additional spectrum offer to Telecel Ghana. These are to provide both operators with more resources to improve their service offerings and quality of service. However, on the back of these approvals, I wish to serve notice that the NCA would, within 3 months of the assignment of this additional spectrum, begin a rigorous enforcement of quality of service on the providers. Failure to provide a marked improvement in quality of service by the network operators will result in stiff fines. The ministry and regulator have fidelity to the Ghanaian people, and we will ensure that it gets the best customer service and experience. The telecom sector has not been without its challenges. The previous government acquired Airtel Tigo and rebranded it as AT with a reported purchase value of $1. Nothing could have been more disingenuous and unpatriotic. When the company was bought, its debt portfolio stood at $400 million US, and its revenues could not meet its monthly overheads. The core and billing platforms have reached the end of life, and both Bharti Airtel and Millicom, which operated Tigo, had failed to make any meaningful investments in both companies over the preceding 5 years. The decision to step in at the time can best be described as ill-informed and reckless. It was an abdication of responsibility by the then administration and minister to the best interest of Ghana. Today, after a debt restructuring arrangement, the debt portfolio at AT sits at about $200 million US, rising every month as the company makes a monthly operating loss of 20 million Ghana cedis. The bleeding needs to be triaged, and urgent steps are underway to engage the company's creditors in negotiating haircuts to ensure the company's viability. I will be updating the nation in the course of this quarter on the policy directions the ministry will be taking as a sole shareholder to ensure the security of the jobs of employees and the long-term survival of the business. To effectively regulate technology in today's fast-evolving digital environment, I have initiated a comprehensive review of existing legislative and regulatory frameworks. The ministry I took over has legislation that should be in a museum and not as the underpinnings of a technology ministry. The current state of the legislative environment of the ministry is as follows. The Kofi Annan Center of Excellence in ICT has no Establishment Act. Ghana Telecom Act of 2003. The Postal and Courier Services Regulatory Commissions Act of 2003, Act 649. The Electronic Communications Act 2008, Act 775. Electronic Transactions Act of 2008, Act 772. The National Communications Authority Act of 2008, Act 769. The Data Protections Act of 2012, Act 843, and the Cybersecurity Act of 2020, Act 1038. This means that most of our legislation is 17 to 21 years old. That's why I said our legislation should be in a museum and not running a technology ministry. We are redrafting all outdated legislation to ensure they reflect present realities, anticipate future developments, and provide a transparent, enabling environment for innovation, investment, and consumer protection. I am confident I will lay the revised legislation before Parliament in its next meetings. As part of this broader legislative effort, I convened strategic meetings with key stakeholders led by the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program across the startup and innovation ecosystem to build consensus on the way forward for the Ghana Innovation and Startup Bill. Together, we have developed a clear roadmap to finalize this bill. The landmark legislation is essential to creating a robust legal and regulatory framework that empowers startups to grow, attracts investment, and scales solutions that generate jobs and drive long-term economic transformation. I'm grateful to the directors of the ministry and our partners who have helped us achieve this march in so short a time. Recognizing the impact of emerging technologies, the President made a pre-election promise to develop a national digital transformation and emerging technology strategy to guide the ethical development and deployment of digital tools such as artificial intelligence and emerging tech for development. Following this, the ministry has prioritized dialogue on AI to fully assess its opportunities, security implications, and resource demands, and ensure we put the appropriate governance framework in place for an ethical, inclusive, and beneficial development and adoption of AI.